iron here with something that will take it.
Did you know that former U.S. presidents can't drink at luxurious parties? Quite an unusual rule, isn't it? But it's true. These individuals who once held the highest office in the land are prohibited from indulging in alcoholic beverages at high-profile events. This might seem like an odd restriction. After all, they're private citizens again, right? But this rule isn't just about personal preferences or health concerns. It's rooted in historical precedents and legal regulations. It's a blend of tradition, protocol, and a dash of legal jargon that has shaped this curious practice. It's about maintaining a certain decorum, a certain image that is associated with the prestige of the presidency. So despite the allure of champagne toasts and the finest wines, former U.S. presidents must abstain. Interesting, isn't it? So when did this rule first come into play? Let's delve into history. The origins of this rule can be traced back to the early 20th century. During this time, America was in the throes of the Prohibition era, a period marked by the nationwide constitutional ban on the production, importation, transportation, and sale of alcoholic beverages. It was a time of societal upheaval as the ban was intended to address social issues, including alcoholism, family violence, and political corruption. However, it inadvertently led to a surge in organized crime and illegal speakeasies. In the political realm, the Prohibition era sparked intense debates and divisions. On one side, the Dries supported the alcohol ban, believing it would lead to a more moral and productive society. On the other hand, the Wets opposed the Prohibition, arguing that it infringed on individual liberties and was essentially unenforceable. Caught in the crossfire of these debates were the nation's leaders, including the presidents. Their actions and choices were under intense scrutiny, and their behavior was seen as a reflection of the nation's values. As the highest office in the land, the presidency was held to a higher standard. In this climate, the decision was made to restrict former presidents from consuming alcohol at public events. This rule was not merely about personal behavior. It was a strategic move aimed at maintaining the dignity and decorum associated with the office of the president. In a time when the nation was grappling with the effects of Prohibition, this restriction was a way for former presidents to show solidarity with the American people and uphold the values that the office represents. Furthermore, the rule also served a political purpose. By abstaining from alcohol at public events, former presidents distanced themselves from the contentious debates of the Prohibition era. It was a way to remain above the fray, preserving their legacy and maintaining their influence in the political landscape. Thus, the rule was born out of a unique blend of societal norms and political considerations. But how has it evolved over the years? Over the decades, this rule has seen its fair share of changes. The prohibition on former U.S. presidents partaking in alcoholic beverages at state functions is not a static, immovable decree. Instead, it has evolved, morphed, and adapted to the shifting sands of time, politics, and societal norms. In the early 20th century, the rule underwent a significant metamorphosis. The Volstead Act, or as it's more commonly known, Prohibition, was passed in 1919, making the production, sale, and transportation of alcoholic beverages illegal throughout the United States. This law meant that for a time, not only former presidents but all citizens were barred from consuming alcohol. However, the Prohibition era came to a close in 1933 with the ratification of the 21st Amendment, effectively lifting the nationwide alcohol ban. This change in legislation led to an adjustment in the rule for former presidents, bringing us back to a state of affairs where only they were prohibited from drinking at official occasions. The rule saw further modifications during the Cold War period. The reasoning was strategic. A clear-headed former president could be a valuable asset in case of a sudden escalation in tensions. In such a volatile political climate, sobriety was not just a recommendation, it was a necessity. Fast forward to the early 21st century. The rule remained largely unaltered, but began to face increasing scrutiny and objections. Critics argued that it was outdated and unnecessary, given the significant advancements in communication and security measures. Despite the controversy, the rule held its ground. Through all these changes and challenges, the rule has remained resilient, adapting to the shifting tides of history and societal expectations. It has served as a reminder of the unique responsibilities and expectations bestowed upon those who have held the nation's highest office. So, despite its origins, the rule has adapted and transformed to suit the times. But why is it still in force today? It's a question that invites us to delve deeper into the complex world of politics, tradition, and power, and that's exactly what we'll do in the next scene. In the 21st century, one might wonder why such a rule still exists. Let's dive right in and explore its modern-day relevance. The prohibition against former U.S. presidents consuming alcohol, especially at grand, luxurious parties, isn't just a relic of the past. It continues to hold significance today, and there are three key reasons for this. Firstly, there's the aspect of national security. Even after leaving office, former presidents are privy to classified information and are regularly briefed on state matters. Imagine, if you will, a former president who's had a bit too much to drink at a party and in his loosened state lets slip a piece of sensitive information. It could potentially lead to a breach of national security, something that no country can afford. Secondly, we need to consider the public image. The presidency of the United States is a revered position, and those who hold this office are often seen as role models. They are expected to maintain a certain decorum even after their term ends. Overindulgence in alcohol, especially in public settings, can tarnish this image. It could send the wrong message to the public, particularly the younger generation who look up to these figures. Lastly, there's the personal well-being of the former presidents themselves. We're all aware of the detrimental effects of excessive alcohol consumption. It can be harmful to both physical and mental health. Given the high-pressure nature of their former job, many ex-presidents are already at a higher risk of health issues. Avoiding alcohol can be a preventative measure to ensure their longevity and overall well-being. So as we can see, this rule isn't just about maintaining tradition or a nod to the past. It holds real-world significance too. It's about safeguarding national security, preserving an untarnished public image, and prioritizing the personal health of those who have served the highest office in the land. Clearly, the rule serves more than just a symbolic purpose. It has practical implications that are still relevant today. So we've journeyed through the past and present to understand this fascinating rule. A rule that on the surface may seem peculiar, but when delved into, reveals rich layers of history, societal norms, and the ever-evolving landscape of political decorum. Let's take a moment to revisit our journey. We began by unveiling the unusual rule that prohibits former U.S. presidents from partaking in alcoholic beverages during their post-presidential life. A rule that might seem out of place in today's world, but when we trace back its origins, we found it steeped in the annals of history. We saw how the historical origins of this rule date back to the early days of the Republic. This was a time when the image of a leader was paramount, and public displays of intoxication were seen as a sign of weakness, an affront to the dignity of the office. The presidency, even in its nascent stages, was a role of immense responsibility, and the expectation of sobriety was seen as a reflection of that responsibility. From there, we charted the evolution of this rule. We witnessed how it adapted and survived through the changing times, from the Prohibition era to the age of social media. The rule retained its essence, but its interpretation and enforcement varied, reflecting the societal norms of the era. And then we brought our attention to the modern-day relevance of this rule. In our current age, where every move of a public figure is under scrutiny, the rule serves as a shield, protecting the image of the former presidents and the sanctity of the office they once held. It reminds us of the unique pressures and responsibilities that come with the role, pressures that do not cease even after the term ends. The rule, while seemingly restrictive, also offers a unique perspective on the lives of these individuals who once held the highest office in the land. It reminds us that former presidents are not just private citizens, but they continue to carry the weight of their past role, a weight that comes with certain sacrifices. In the grand scheme of things, this rule is more than just about alcohol consumption. It's a symbol of the office's dignity, a nod to the past, a reflection of changing societal norms, and a testament to the unique responsibilities that come with being a former president. It's a small yet significant part of the complex tapestry that makes up the world of politics. While it may seem strange, this rule is a testament to the unique responsibilities and pressures that come with being a former president. The next time you see a former president at a party, remember they're probably sipping on something non-alcoholic.